Hey, this is Seagrove, and we are here for the meta forecast for San Jose. I am joined by Jon Eng, Peter Kica, Conner LaVelle, and Michael Pramawat. So, why don't you guys introduce yourselves? John, go ahead.
Okay, I am Jon Eng. I have been playing for about 7 years now. I am on Team ARG along with Michael Pramawat. This is my first year in Masters. Trying to stay relevant. Just came from a pretty bad finish at London, but going to try to revive it at San Jose.
Okay. Peter.
Hey, I'm Peter. I play out of New York, and this is my fourth competitive season playing Pokemon.
Really? Conner.
I'm Conner LaVelle. I write for the Charizard Lounge. I've been playing for 8 years.
Okay. Pram? Yes. I love that sound. Okay.
There it was. Oh,
Thank you. Thank you.
Such a nice melody.
Pram, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Michael Pramawat. I think with the non-updated ratings, I'm like third. It's like not completely updated, like
Thanks,
third
Pokemon.
and something like that. I don't know. Won a expanded regionals this year. People can know me as the Sixth God, so
That sounds like
doing good
something
for
else.
myself.
Good. Well, you don't know, but Pokemon doesn't either, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I have a Christmas tree up because my wife loves Christmas. All right, cool. So let's. This is for San Jose. We just finished with London. In London, we saw a lot of decks, but obviously Zoroark ended up winning, and people are thinking it's very, very good in Standard. What are your thoughts about it in Standard, and then we'll transfer to your thoughts about it in Expanded. So first person, I think we have different opinions about it here. So Peter, what do you think about it in Standard? Zoroark.
In Standard, I think the deck is quite strong, but I think it has several weaknesses like ability lock and it playing so few draw supporters. I know they played four tool scrappers, or what is it called? But they, blowers. But if you get End and Garbotoxin done the same turn, it's kind of like you're praying to draw those. So, and the deck is really reliant on drawing with Zoroark.
Okay.
And in Expanded, I don't think Golisopod is how you should be playing the deck. I do agree Zoroark is good in Expanded, but I think something like a Skyfield version with Muck is better.
Okay. Pram, you called it on social media the best deck in Standard. Do you still think it's the best deck in Standard?
Yeah, probably. I always liked Golisopod Zoroark, but it was always kind of like, I don't know, it just didn't have like a good late game. The puzzles kind of clean that up, giving you that extra reach. And yeah, it's just super aggressive, and it can just finish out games sometimes. It's just kind of, in a format where like everyone's kind of like struggling to set up sometimes. A deck that just kind of speeds through is really good. So I really liked it. When I saw the deck, I really liked it, and it was no surprise to me when it won.
Okay. And John, do you have any thoughts on Expanded Zoroark?
Expanded?
Yeah. And
Expanded Zoroark. I don't know how I feel about the deck in Expanded right now. It's definitely not one of my top picks. I agree with Peter that Zoroark itself in Expanded is really good, along with like the Muck and Skyfield thing that I think the Limitless guys posted a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's super strong. But as for Golisopod, I don't think it is that good.
Okay. Conner, Conner, what is the best partner for Zoroark in Expanded?
The best partner for Zoroark and Expanded, I don't know. I don't really like the Skyfield version as much. The damage cap that it hits at 210 is kind of weird against some stuff, and then also if it has to populate its bench with EXs and GXs, then it can get weird against Necrozma and stuff. I do like Golisopod Zoroark and Expanded.
Okay.
I think it's a pretty good deck. I think Zoroark GX brings something to the deck that it didn't have before. which is like just. I mean, it's not necessarily that it didn't have it before, but the extra drop power is nice. You can play Skyfield if you want, but I don't think you need to. It just improves the matchup against Psychic stuff, and Golisopod Zoroark in Expanded does have the extra option of like the foul play. So.
Okay. So Sudowoodo has been pretty big and Expanded. How much does that hurt Zoroark? Pram, what do you think?
I think it's pretty damaging. Like, you have to. I mean, there's some cute things you can do around it, like with Execute Propagate, but like with a Hex Maniac, but like that just like gets one turn. You usually have. That's kind of why like the Lycanroc version's pretty good with it, because you can just Lycanroc it to the active, hit it for 120. If you can get like a Muscle Band or something, but because like Muscle Band's not bad in this deck, it's just fine. But yeah, actually no, Sudowoodo has 100 HP. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I like the Lycanroc version with it.
Okay,
I think it just handles Sudowoodo fine. Because like, what are they gonna do? Like put a not knock you out, and then like put another Sudowoodo in play. It's like, okay, I'll just knock it out again, and then eventually you'll just have free reign.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Go ahead.
And Muck shuts it off too.
Yeah.
Muck, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay. Peter, the Lycanroc Zoroark deck has been getting some hype, quite a bit of hype going into Expanded. What are your thoughts on it?
Right. It's like I was saying before, and Pram was talking about, like the deck is like Lycanroc Zoroark with Alolan Muck in it to stop the Sudowoodo, and you have the addition of Lycanroc to pull it active and just kill it if you can't set up the 1/1 Muck line.
Okay. So do you like the deck? Do you think it's a strong contender?
Yeah, I think it's pretty strong. It could lose to stuff like Mega Rayquaza if that makes an appearance, which is kind of iffy to look at, but otherwise it has pretty strong matchups versus the field. I don't know what its Guardy matchup is. It might be bad, though.
Well, Connor thinks Guardy loses to everything, so...
Oh yeah, definitely.
Let's talk guarding then. Connor, I don't know if I need to have you say anything about it.
Yeah,
Connor,
I like Gardevoir a little bit.
Okay, what's the one deck that you don't want to see when you play Gardevoir?
When I play Gardevoir, I don't want to see the thing that I'm not teched for. So the way that we've got it built right now, it's definitely Trevenant. I would rather not see Trevenant.
Okay. So are you gonna put in that Tina promo or?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't think that's worth it.
Okay. But John, what do you think about Gardevoir?
I love Gardevoir right now. I think it's definitely in my top 3 picks going into San Jose. Okay. It's super inherently strong, and it takes, like you said, like Connor said, if you can tech for almost everything. So it just depends on what you're expecting, and it has options against a lot of stuff similar to it as it is in Standard.
Okay. Pram, do you have anything you want to add about Gardevoir?
It's pretty good. I think you have pretty solid matchups across the field. Night March can get pretty hairy depending on like how good the Night March player is. But other than that, I think like Twilight's just such a good attack. Infinite Force is like one of the most broken attacks in the game. So it's pretty good.
Okay. Peter, do you have anything about that? Or
No, I pretty much agree with what everyone else said.
Well then, Pram brought up Night March, which you have played, I think. Have you played it before?
No, I haven't played it this season.
I don't think either of you guys have played it, Peter and Pram. So, Peter, where's Night March sit currently?
I think it's in a pretty good place. The problem with Night March is that when people think it's good, they tech heavily for it, and it's very easy to tech for it. And for some reason, people just don't like losing to it.
I hate it.
So I don't get why.
Because it has 30 HP and it does 200 damage. That's why.
It feels bad. You're just losing like 3 turns when you lose the Night March.
Yeah.
Well, that's why Night March is so good. You just win the series. Like
That's
no
so
matter whether
true.
you play, no matter how the series ends, you're not finishing on time. It's
Yeah.
fine.
That's right.
Yeah, the only way you go to time with Night March is if it's a Night March mirror.
That or like if someone's like quaking punching and not taking
Yeah.
prizes.
That's awesome. So I think we're pretty good on Night March. It's really strong unless it gets teched against.
I think Zoroark is pretty good in it too.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
the Zoroark, it gets a
yeah.
big addition with Zoroark.
Yeah, I think Psychic Toolbox was kind of rough for it before. I was having a really hard time consistently winning that one, but Zoroark GX is pretty good against that deck.
So how many Zoroark do you play?
2-ish. I don't know. I think 1 or 2 is okay. Like two definitely if you expect a lot of like Trevenant and Necrozma. But it's
Yeah.
just even a single copy is pretty strong.
I think 1/1's probably fine because the core of Night March was already really good.
Yeah.
So like the 1/1 is just like a little addition. Kind of helps your Seismitoad matchup. Kind of helps your Karens. Kind of helps Trevenant.
So do you drop Taurus with that?
I think so. I think they cover the same things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. So broken dot deck in standard is Gardevoir. According to Cena, broken dot deck for expanded, thank you, John, is Trevenant. So
I think he changed his mind today.
Oh snap!
I think
maybe.
I think he changed his mind today.
Okay.
Yeah,
He was
I
trying
heard-
to play
I heard-
Gardevoir versus me, but
Yeah,
I
he
just smacked
was-
him with Night March, so it was
He
fine.
was messaging me today. He kind of gave up on Trevenant, I think. He took some bad losses to Zoroark.
Okay, I didn't hear that.
Yes.
Trevenant's really good. So what's what do you guys thoughts on Trevenant? It's done because of Zoroark?
I've always thought the deck was a theme deck, actually. If you look at what the deck does, it does 30 damage a turn, which is like a theme deck.
Uh-huh.
And the only way it wins is by letting you not letting you play the game. So if you actually are able to execute your plan of your deck even half of the time or half of what it's capable of, I think Trevenant just loses all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't help that
And-
everyone and their brother is on Zoroark either.
Yeah. With the addition of
Yeah.
Zoroark, I mean, it just I don't think it has any shot at beating any Zoroark variant.
Okay, so if you guys are watching this, this is Wednesday, and there's the plug for my Friday Trevenant video. Check it out. Great. So, Trevenant's dead because of Zoroark. Cool. What about this? We have this deck that was okay, Garbodor in expanded seemed to be pretty strong. How does it change with Zoroark? Does Zoroark push it out, or it's still pretty strong, right?
I think what's going to happen is people are going to start teching for the Zoroark matchup. I think the deck is still probably relatively strong. And, I mean, I think it'll see a good amount of success. Probably not win the tournament, but I would expect at least 4 of them in top 32.
I think the deck is just too hard to play for most people to use it right. You have to test it extensively, and then even then your deck is just not that fantastic. It's kind of it does a lot of cute things, and then Zoroark just kind of comes in and hits you for 120, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think being able to play it well is really important now that Zoroark is such a natural counter to the deck.
Yeah, it resists your psychic, and then it just beats you in the face. It draws cards.
Yeah.
Zoroark is just too good. Plus, the things you combo with Zoroark, either Golisopod or Lycanroc, are already naturally strong versus Garbodor variants. Because it relied on low HP, so Lycanroc gets that. Lycanroc also gets Strampa. Golisopod literally gets everything in the deck. So.
Yeah. So there's a card that counters Zoroark really well called Gallade, which we see obviously played best in Gardevoir.
Yeah.
So that can be very useful. There was a deck called Maxie's Yveltal that was super strong with Archeops and obviously fell out a lot. Is there anything that's going to be picking up Gallade and Maxie's? Or is there any Maxie's deck that's going to be viable with Gallade?
I don't think that any deck that's bad against Zoroark includes a Maxie's engine that easily.
Okay.
Like the decks that already have a decent matchup against Zoroark don't really care about adding Maxie's, like the decks that could. But the decks that are bad against Zoroark don't really want to put Maxie's in. Like Garb doesn't, or Psychic stuff doesn't want to. Trevenant really doesn't want to. And I don't really know if you'd be as concerned about Zoroark and anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the problem with Maxis is that like you get your 1 Maxis off, you take 2 prizes, and then Zoroark hits you for 180, and you're like, all right, I gotta get another Maxis off.
Yeah.
And then you do that again, right? And then you gotta get another Maxis off.
Yeah.
Therein lies the problem.
So it's like Gallade just does not have enough HP to deal with a Skyfield Zoroark.
Okay.
Yeah. And like the only deck that would reliably get that off that many times would be like a really heavy Yveltal Maxis, which is not good, or like Night March, which really doesn't care enough.
Right. It doesn't need it.
Yeah. Yeah, Night March runs more Shadow, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're fine with Zoroark anyway.
yeah.
Peter, what are your thoughts on Turbo Turtles?
I think the deck is pretty bad, honestly. When it originally did well, I think Sam got second at Fort Wayne. I think it was just like perfect for that meta. It was like the first regionals, and it just hit really hard, really fast. But like, if you look at the deck, all it does is just like swing. So if you like trade any non-EX attackers with it, like I think the deck has a really hard time with the Drampa Garbodor deck, and even Zoroark. So I don't see it doing necessarily well.
Okay.
Yeah, especially the Garbodor things if they play Mimikyu.
Yeah.
Right, Mimikyu just obliterates them.
I hate that.
Yeah, and so does Alolan Muck also obliterates it. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So is Alolan
Yeah.
Monk going to be pretty big then?
I think so. I think Zoroark is going to be one of the biggest decks there,
Okay.
with
sounds really good.
alongside Gardevoir.
Cool. John, what about Archie's toys? Is it dead?
I think the only Archie's Stoice that saw success was Xiao Xiao back at Fort Wayne, and even when I was talking to him, he was like, "This was one of the worst decisions I've made in a long time," because he totally did terrible in day 2. I guess thinking about it now, I think it takes a bad Zoroark matchup. I'd say so, because you're kind of just trading one shots, and if they get like, I don't know if it plays Hex or not. If they get a Hex off, I think it does. If they get a Hex off and a knockout, then it's like, oh, cool. And then there's Golisopod variants apparently running around. That's pretty bad. Garbodor in general, the Necrogarb, is pretty good against it. And Guardy.
Yeah.
I think it's one good matchup is Gardevoir. I think Gardevoir has a very hard time with a Fury Belted Wishy-Washy.
Oh, yeah, I was just about to say, yeah, Wishy-Washy.
Yeah. So if you expect to play 9 rounds of Gardevoir, then you should play Archie's Choice. But in any other circumstance, it's not worth it.
Okay. Sounds good. Peter, another question. Which Darkrai variant's better, Darkrai EX or Darkrai GX?
I think the Darkrai GX version is better. It has a slightly better Night March matchup. It has a slightly better matchup to any deck that runs Sudowoodo. And it can just like, I think it also has a better matchup against Necrozma Garb as well. Because swinging for the 130 on other dudes is pretty good, and you have the resistance. Without playing many items, it's pretty like easy to set up.
Okay. Anyone disagree with that? Okay, so
No,
You guys
I like GX better as well.
Okay.
I think it's just a better deck.
Okay. So Sudowoodo was primarily in there for Darkrai EX. Does that mean we should be playing less Sudowoodo, or do we still need it for Zoroark Skyfield?
I think Sudowoodo is just a good card in Expanded.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to bench a lot of stuff. Shaman is legal. And, like, if anyone wants to pop off with Rayquaza, they can.
So you're saying I can't play Rainbow Road? That's what you're telling me.
I mean, you could. You just need like Alolan Muck in
Muck.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have to
but
count.
I draw off of abilities, so that's not that's basic abilities, so that's not working.
No,
Okay,
you just run Alolan Muck, Zoroark, and then you put
Exactly.
Rainbow Road in there just for the spice.
there it is. Perfect.
But then just take out the Xerneases and just play Zoroark.
No.
Stop.
You're
Stop.
defeating the spirit of the deck.
All
The
right.
spirit of the
Rainbow
deck
Road.
is to attack with Xerneas.
Okay. So, are there any other decks you want to talk about before we move into a different part of the conversation?
Sableye Garbodor.
Oh, thank you. Yes, Sableye Garbodor is getting super hyped, and I think I have an opinion on this. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. Sableye Garbodor is super good for day 1. It is not super good for day 2.
I agree with the day 1 part. I agree to an extent with the day 2 part.
Yeah, I'm on that same. I think it's like, I think right now it's at a really good position to do well in day 2. I could even see it winning.
Okay.
But
The reason Sableye is good day 1 is because with so many masters now in our tournaments, the chances that you play against a lower quality player earlier in the day, leading up to the final rounds, is much higher, and they're like prone to make so many mistakes against that deck, and that deck is like one of the biggest punishers of any mistakes you make against it. So you just grab free wins. And you only finish 1 game, so even if they learn about their mistakes, they can't correct them.
Yeah, I think another note to make about your opponents needing to play like rather poorly is that the deck itself is relatively hard to play. Also,
Yeah.
to like at the best level, I think it has one of the highest skill caps in Expanded right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of players are going to pick up the deck because it's super hyped and just do awful with it.
I agree. Yeah.
But I also think it's a lot better in day 2 than it was because it picks up some new tools like Counter Catcher. Counter Catcher's ridiculous in that deck.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, so is Gideon. You don't have to play Rotom decks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That card's kind of ridiculous if you're good at like checking your prizes.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even need to check your prizes, man. You have just a
slam
free
it.
turn, just slam
Slam
it
it.
down. Be like, oh, this is what was prized. Let me cherry pick this. And
Right
then-
there.
Saves you some time too, which with Sableye is kind of
Yeah.
important.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
For sure. Okay,
You'll always have access to Life Dew, which is the most important part.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's get into top decks. What is in terms of meta share and in terms of what will earn the most CP at the event, what is the best deck? John, what's the best deck?
I think in terms of what will make the most CP, definitely Zoroark. Gonna go with that.
Is
I know you can pair Zoroark with a bunch of stuff, but like, I think the Limitless list that was supposed to do like the Muck and like the Toad, and I'm pretty sure that's it. And then, yeah, I think that one is gonna get the most points.
Okay. Connor, what are your thoughts?
As far as the most points, it's kind of hard to say. We have a lot of decks that are getting a lot of hype right now that have no results behind them yet. So just because we have so many new cards coming into the format, I'd probably say that Zoroark is likely. I also really like Gardevoir. Like my favorite deck for the event would be Gardevoir, unsurprisingly.
Really?
But
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
But it's also picking up a lot of hype, and it has a naturally good Zoroark matchup. So if Zoroark is really, really big, then the odds that Gardevoir does well also increase.
Okay. Pram, what do you think?
Zoroark's probably the deck that is most likely to get the most CPs. I mean, like, it's a West Coast event. They love dark Pokemon. Zoroark's the new hotness, so people are going to want to try it out. I think it'll just come out in full force. And there's basically a deck list already fleshed out for it for like the most part for like 50 cards of it. So.
Okay. Peter, you agree? Zoroark?
Yeah, I think it's close between Zoroark and Gardevoir. I think Gardevoir might edge it out in terms of CP earned, just because people might just play Gardevoir because that's what they play in Standard, and they don't have any other cards. And Zoroark's relatively new. Maybe they haven't bought them yet.
Okay. So what do you guys think? I want to know your tier 1 and your tier 2. I'm not going to go to individual people. What do you guys think? Whoever wants to throw it in. What do you guys think is tier 1?
I think Guardy's tier 1 for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there's three decks going into this tournament. I think are tier 1. Guardy, Night March, and Zoroark.
Okay. Not Garbodor.
No, not for this tournament.
I mean, depending on who's playing it, Sableye can either be tier 1 or tier 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think-
I agree with Peter. So
Okay.
Yeah, across the board, I would agree with Peter. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. So there's tier 1. What's tier 2?
Tier 2.
Golisopod, Garbodor. What other decks can we pull from the woodwork? Well, Turtles, Greninja, Archie Stoice. I mean, eventually you just fall into tier 3, I guess.
Okay.
And then,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Rainbow
think
Road.
like Zoroark and Garbodor, Necrozma Garbodor are like or not Zoroark, Golisopod Zoroark, and Necrozma Garbodor are like
Tier 2.
2 decks that could do very well, but wouldn't necessarily do really well. So I think I'd put them in tier 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so let's go through those 5 and talk about the best, easiest counter to play. If you really want to counter that deck, start with Gardevoir. What's the easiest thing you can put in your deck to counter Gardevoir?
You should put in a 4/4/3 Trevenant break line. That is definitely going to be your best bet. It's just against Gardevoir, it's so much luck of the draw. Like if you're playing a deck that they're not teched for, then you're going to do really well. And if you are playing a deck that they're teched for, it's going to be a really rough time. In general, like if they're not playing Comfey, then Seismitoad, Seviper is really good against them. But it's another one of those situations. It's not easy to tech for. That's the thing. Like there's no 1 or 2 card tech that you can put into anything that's really good against it.
Okay. So is Toad a pretty good counter? Or not really? I guess
Not really.
Okay.
Not as a one of.
Okay.
No.
So there's no really one of.
No, there's no like easy tech for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
That's
like you could just
boring.
like make a deck that beats Guardy, but like you could play some like you could play like that
Savali Metal.
bots deck. No, not even Savali Metal. That
Just
that
the straight
atrocious thing that was played
metal.
by
Yeah.
certain people. And you guys, Peter knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
It was an abomination.
I heard about that.
I think it earned a total of like 0 championship points.
Same.
So,
So did I. All right. So Gardevoir is uncounterable. Good. No, just kidding. Let's look at what was the
Broken deck.
Night March. Obviously, Karen or probably Orcorio's better, but
yeah, if you run Karen, you're just asking to lose.
okay. Karen's
Yeah.
better.
Right.
So Orcorio, and then the third one you guys said was Zoroark. What's the best counter for Zoroark?
Parallel
I mean-
City.
Yeah. Oh, Parallel is really good. There's like some natural counters like decks have like Sudowoodo is good. Night March has Marshadow. Gardevoir is naturally tanky. So like Zoroark's really just gonna have to prey on the super early game. But yeah. If you can get past that, you're fine.
Okay. What about the other? What were the 2 that you guys said were in tier 2? Oh, Garbodor. Does Garbodor sort of feels like Gardevoir to me in that it doesn't have a single card counter? Is that true?
Yeah.
For the most part, yeah. Actually, yeah.
If you get rid of D Valley, it's pretty like just stadiums in general that are D Valley is a pretty good counter.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Zoroark GX is a pretty good counter to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Zoroark GX is kind of splashable too. Like its attack cost is cheap. It does good stuff for just about any deck that you put it in. So
Yeah. Night March
but
plays it.
kind of yeah. Kind of unconventional counter, I would say, is like I think Parallel is really good against Necrozma Garbodor, because if they hit you with a good Black Ray, then you can functionally like max potion 2 of your Pokemon by getting rid of them if they hit 2 targets with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question. Last one would be Golisopod Zoroark. What's the counter there? Playing a bitter deck.
Yeah.
Turtles.
Turtle.
Yeah, turtle.
A lot of these decks, the answer would be Archeops, but that's damn.
I think
Yeah.
any deck in tier 1 has a good matchup against that deck.
Okay. So that gives
Yeah, just play Night March Gardevoir or Zoroark, and you will beat Golisopod Zoroark.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any guesses on the number of Masters that will be at San Jose?
I don't know about number of Masters. I know it's going to be one of those tournaments where 621 makes it into day 2, though.
Oh, that's sketchy. I don't know.
That's bold. That's
Really?
a bold prediction. I think
Really?
so.
No,
I think 612 is going to be the bubble.
612s. I think we'll hit almost 600.
Okay.
I think at 600 though, your bubble would be 621.
Would it?
Yeah, 612 would be guaranteed in.
Is
How
it?
many-
I don't even know if that's true. I guess like a few 612s. would
Yeah.
make it in. Yeah.
A few,
Or 621s.
yeah. You'd have a few 19s make it in at like just under 600. I would say that it's probably going to have lowish attendance just because of like where it is and like how expensive flights are.
Yeah, I was going to say Thanksgiving location, and yeah. Because usually, like, I was like Seattle and Portland, which I guess are not really, like semi close to it, usually end up with like those low. I don't know. Not okay. Yeah, forget that. I was just thinking like West Coast ones in general are usually on the smaller side.
It wasn't that. It was your dog whistle.
Oh, okay.
It's just, like,
It makes sense.
also, like Vancouver.
You're like
Vancouver only had like 300 and something people.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
312, I think.
Yeah, so like maybe add another like 100 or so. I could see. I wouldn't be. I think it's gonna be more than 500, but I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't even get there. Just because it's like all these factors, like location, expense, what time of the year it is, the fact that it's right after London. So that's all for a lot of people who went to London. They might not want to go to San Jose, things like that.
Yeah.
Before I move into the last question before shoutouts, does anyone have anything else you want to add? Anything that you feel like we've left out? Great. Last question. I'll start with John. What is the best deck that you absolutely will not be playing?
That is hard to say. Best deck that I won't be playing is
Rainbow Road.
Rainbow. Yeah, sure. No,
Definitely.
I don't know. I feel like Sableye Garbodor.
Okay.
Because like I mean, I have a crap ton of schoolwork to get done. I don't have time to test it and like get better at it. Like as much as like I think it's like one of the best decks right now, I don't think I'll be prepared to play it for 9 rounds and then potentially even more day 2 at the highest level.
How do you even find somebody to test against with Sableye Garbodor? No one wants to play against that.
You queue up versus the computer, and then
And then they concede on like turn 4 because they
no,
see where
versus the
they
computer.
go.
The computer never concedes. You can
Oh,
build it out to your heart.
against like the
content.
theme decks and stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Whatever it takes.
Gotta
I mean,
find
that
someone
might
on-
be kind of tough though. The theme deck runs like 20 basic energies.
You need, and the Night Striker matchup's pretty important to know. So,
Mhm.
Peter, what do you think? What's the best deck that you will not touch for San Jose?
Definitely Gardevoir, because I'm not into the whole stage 2 thing.
Okay, sounds good. Pram.
Also, Gardevoir, I am about going fast and expanded.
Right.
Like stage 1 is the most I want to evolve into.
Okay.
Unless I'm like cheating my stage 2 out with like Maxies or Archies, but like that's a whole different beast.
Right.
Yeah, so probably not going to be playing Gardevoir.
Can I add to Gardevoir?
Okay.
I sort of agree with them. Like in standard, I wouldn't like touch Gardevoir and stuff like that because like I tend to like sway away from rare candy decks. But like with teammates in the format now, I'm kind of like more comfortable with them
Okay.
and stuff like that.
Connor, best deck you
Uh,
will play.
Either
Gardevoir.
Sableye Garbodor or Lycanroc Zoroark. I would never play Lycanroc Zoroark, so I'd say that deck.
Well, maybe I should have asked you, what do you think is the best deck besides Gardevoir? Because I'm confident in what you're going to be playing.
It's definitely Night March. I would definitely say Night March.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do shout outs. And Connor, go ahead.
Shout out to Yeti Gaming. Shout out to Wombolt and the Charizard Lounge. I think that's all I've got.
All right, Pram.
Shout out to ARG. Thanks for sponsoring me and John. It's really cool of you guys. Shout out to Ben Fonte Facebook group. Go ahead and join that. It's the premier Facebook group to join.
I don't know what to say.
And follow me on Twitter. I post tournament updates on myself. Sometimes I like post other stuff too. So yeah.
Peter.
I don't have many shout outs to give, but shout out to you for having me here. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, I usually post all of my deck lists there. Mostly just so I can reference them back myself, but people can also look at them.
John.
Okay. Shout out to ARG for sponsoring me and Pram, of course, like he said. Thanks to them for that. Shout out to you for making great content and making lunchtime a lot better for me.
Thank you.
And
Peter.
And Peter, yeah.
Yeah.
No lunchtime shout. You didn't say that.
No.
Hey,
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead, John.
And then just make sure to follow me on Twitter. I tweet something funny every once in a while, so you don't want to miss that. And
Sure.
yeah.
And all of your Twitters are up there for everybody to see. And Peter, are you going to Memphis?
I'm going to every regionals
Okay.
that is not.
We need
in
to
Canada.
I feel like we have to get lunch in Memphis, by the way, but we'll see. So for me, shout out to Flipside Gaming for kind of not sponsoring me, but partnering with me, I guess. And then there's something else I wanted to say, but I don't remember what it was. Oh, shout out to John's Jar of Crickets, or whatever that is that keeps going on.
Dog whistle.
Dog whistle.
I was waiting for someone to say it.
And shout out to you guys for always being willing to come on here and because this doesn't happen. My channel will be trashed if it were just me talking for obvious reasons. But thank you guys for being, and shout out to my son who just woke up. And shout out especially to Pram and John for coming in the last 15 minutes right before to fill in for people who couldn't make it. But for everybody, thank you all so much. And hopefully this helps you guys in San Jose. Don't play a bad deck. All right, bye.